Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my dilapidated converted garage. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. Joining me here today, all the way from the Observatory, he is a Hollywood writer, director, and producer, one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm just watching all of BOSSLOGIC's awesome digitizations of things show up in my feeds. Everyone's better than the next.
You know, we've had Boss on the show.
I know
before, and like I've been saying for years now, he is a Kingdom of Fandom treasure. He's an absolute treasure. Actually, we have one of his pieces. We have it in the description of the video, but his art of Adam Driver as Sinister is in our thumbnail today.
Bruh.
And I credit him down in the credits below, but he's amazing. I love it.
It's his idea. It's his ideas of how he presents the characters, which are so great.
No, but you know what makes him really crazy? And I swear we won't go off on a Robert Taylor here. His speed. How fast he comes up with this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. Totally. Anyway, also joining us today, of course, is our technical producer. We can't do the show without him. Jonathan Voico's here. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hey, I may not be a Hollywood writer and director, but I do live near Hollywood. So there's that.
I see the LA Dodgers hat you got on. You know, Ann and I went to our first Dodgers game of the year the other day.
I saw.
And it happens to be the only game they've won in the last 30 games. So that was
but you know what? Good. You can't be a true fan if you're only a fair weather fan, right?
Oh, I agree. I agree. Hey, listen, you're talking to a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, man. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know this isn't sports talk, but this is how spoiled Dodgers fans are. We're like, oh, it's the doldrums. It's so bad. It's so bad. And yet we're still the third best team in all of baseball.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. So between, and the only thing cutting into my sports watching time right now is the fact that I made the horrible life decision to start playing World of Warcraft again.
I saw that.
And it is eating up a lot of my hours, my friends. Anyway, guys, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about movies and movie news, TV and streaming, those things that we love and give us joy. And we're glad you're here with us. Here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like me to address, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, fire it on into our super chat feature in the live chat. And as long as I deem it appropriate, we'll get around to it in the second part of the show. Just so you know, the super chats are already almost completely filled up, so they're only going to be open for a little while longer. So if you do have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you want me to address later, fire it on in soon. All right. With that down, guys, unfortunately, let's get things started here on a sad note. Last night, we had our weekly Dungeons and Dragons game here at the house, and all of a sudden, my buddy Matt, who you guys might remember from Filthy Sports, he looked up and said, "Oh my God, Hayden Panettiere." I'm like, "What?" She died. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then sure enough, I went and looked, and "Save the cheerleader, save the world," which might be one of the greatest phrases ever from television. Save the cheerleader, save the world. News did come in that she had passed away at the age of 36. Now, she had done several high-profile things. Obviously, she had a hit show, Nashville. I'm not a country music guy by any stretch of the imagination, so I never watched Nashville. But I heard it was a very good show. But it just wasn't my cup of tea, so that's fine. She also got a lot of fame from the Scream franchise, and she did several other small things. But to me, for those of you who know me at all, it's going to be the cheerleader. It's going to be her role on Heroes. Because I still contend that first season of Heroes is one of the single greatest seasons of television ever. I mean, the show went off a bit of a cliff after season 1, no doubt. But that first season was borderline perfection. And her character as this girl who's discovering, and the whole journey, guys, that she goes on, this discovery of finding out she's unbreakable, that she's borderline immortal, right? Mm-hmm. And I still remember, and she's gradually upping it to the point where she's with her one friend and she throws herself off that thing and down to the ground and just constantly gets back up. I mean, it was honestly one of my favorite seasons of television ever. And I will always remember her for that. Now, she had, of course, recently put out her book where she chronicles a lot of the ups and downs that she had in her personal life and whatever. And as of right now, it should be noted that it was, they did say on the scene that she died of cardiac arrest. What exactly caused it, they're only speculating about right now. They're going to do an autopsy today. But it doesn't look like there was any foul play or anything involved. So other than that, there's no official word about why she passed away. But every once in a while we hear a piece of news, guys, about a Hollywood icon passing away. And most of the time we get to say, wow, they lived a full, long, rich life and they leave behind this great legacy. But every once in a while, there's something extra tragic when somebody is taken from us so young as this. But you know what, guys? Even in that young career, few performers in Hollywood ever get to say they had one breakout thing. You know, she had Heroes. She got to be in the Scream franchise. It wasn't her franchise because she being it, and Nashville was a big hit for a lot of people. So that's tremendous. But again, it's just tragic news to hear about this. And anyway, Rob, you heard about this news. What are your thoughts on this right now? And what will you remember her most for?
Well, I have to say Heroes is when she, finally came onto my radar. Like you said, John, I thought the first season of Heroes was really incredible. A friend of mine, Brian Fuller, creator of Hannibal, started on that show right after the pilot and was an executive producer in the first season. Then he left and came back, but he's a big fan of hers. And I, she was only 36 years old and she was a mother, and, we don't know what happened to her, but anybody that loses their life at such an early age, especially a person that has a family, it's a tragedy. I've often said that one of my favorite notions I ever got from a comic book, and it's in the movie version, is Dr. Manhattan. When he decides to come back to Earth to save humanity, he says that every single person that exists is a thermodynamic miracle. And when I read that in the comic in '86, it always stuck with me that, every person can change their life. Every person has the possibility of changing someone else's life throughout a lifetime. And the longer you live, the longer you have more time to share and impart knowledge and touch somebody in a way that they might not have expected and send somebody else on a different path. So when someone like her is lost at such a young age, I mean, we do have the book she wrote, but it just seems, I mean, who knew what she had in front of her? And that's the thing that I always think about is what was the possibilities of what they could have done next.
It reminds me of the quote of Clint Eastwood from Unforgiven.
I just thought about that this weekend. I don't know why, but I just thought about that
when he said, it's a hell of a thing killing a man because you take away everything you take away everything he has and everything he's ever going to have. Yeah. And you're right. That reminds me of what you were just saying, Rob, about the fact that it's not just, that we lost her, we lost everything that she may have had on her path in front of us to leave for us. So again, terrible tragedy. Again, to me, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World is going to be one of the all-time great lines from any show. And Hayden has passed away far too young. What was that, Jonathan?
Go watch. I might go watch Remember the Titans today. She was the little girl. She was Coach's daughter. That's
right. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? What will you think of first when you think of her career as short and tragically cut short as it was, that she left for us as entertainment fans? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, Spider-Man, which we're going to talk more about here in just a few minutes, but Spider-Man, of course, has been breaking box office records left and right, of course. And one of the most notable ones, though, maybe the most notable one, is the fact that it broke the all-time opening weekend box office record with $360 million opening weekend, a number that part of me thought might be a record that never gets beat. Well, we all said, but wait until Doomsday comes. Now, Doomsday tickets have gone on sale. They're out there. And one of the things that you guys will remember I said on this show, guys, was the number one piece, number one thing that's going to be out there that's going to influence how well or not well Doomsday does is Spider-Man. If Spider-Man comes out and it sucks, that's going to hurt Doomsday. If Spider-Man comes out and is great and people love it, it's going to ramp up the hype for the MCU. It's going to help Doomsday. Well, according to a report in The Wrap, the advanced ticket sales for Avengers Doomsday, and by the way, the ticket sales for Dune are going like hotcakes too, but the advanced ticket sales for Doomsday are pacing at, get this, 65% ahead of the advanced ticket sales for Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is what they wrote over at The Wrap. But after just 2 days of pre-sales, sources say that Avengers Doomsday is approximately not 3%, not 5%, not 10%, is approximately 65% ahead of the pace set by the first 2 days of pre-sales for Brand New Day. Between the rave fan reception for the latest Spider-Man, which I said would be one of the biggest influences on how well Doomsday does, with the rave fan reception for the latest Spider-Man film and the excitement of seeing Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the anticipation for a new Avengers movie is strong among devoted and lapsed fans alike. And that's a key phrase there, is returning and lapsed fans. This is a movie that is getting some people who've kind of fallen away from the MCU because, let's be honest, and I say this as an MCU fan, the last 6 or 7 years of the MCU since Endgame has been, quite frankly, and to be kind, hit and miss. They've put out some very, very good things, and they've put out some really, really terrible things, and they've also put out a whole bunch of things that have kind of been meh, like far below the standard of quality we got used to coming out of the MCU for its first 12, 13, 14 years, whatever. So this has gotten everybody's attention back. Everybody is kind of back on board for this. Now, there's a couple things that need to be pointed out. Number one, pacing 65% ahead is not an apples to apples comparison. Because remember, I believe the Spider-Man No Way Home tickets went on sale 45 days before the movie came out. These tickets are on sale like 4 months before the movie comes out. So it's not an equal playground, right? It's not equal footing. It's a different set of circumstances, a different set of scenarios. Also, saying that it's 65% ahead right now does not mean that its opening weekend is going to be 65% better. It just means people are really hyped right now. They're just getting their tickets now. So whether or not we see that Avengers Doomsday actually does end up breaking now Spider-Man's record of 360 million, which is difficult to conceive of, especially with Dune 3 opening on the same day, but it's certainly possible. I mean, the possibilities here are nuts. And guys, it reminds me a lot of the first ridiculous conversations that came out after Comic-Con a couple of years ago when they walked out Robert Downey Jr. on stage and announced him as Dr. Doom. And you had that cacophony of people going, oh, this is such a desperate move. Oh, this is such nobody cares. This is a bad move. Bring back Robert Downey Jr. It just reeks of desperation, blah, blah, blah. How you like me now is kind of what the MCU is saying. Because the internet exploded when that came out. People are losing their minds over it. And by the way, I was a little curious to hear how Robert Downey Jr.'s voice would sound as Dr. Doom. Consider me a doubter no more. It sounds awesome. Because, holy crap, we'll talk more about it a little bit later on. But first of all, Thor gives this line that is like one of the greatest lines ever. You will beg for hell long before I grant it. Only to be followed up by an even better line with hell answers to me, for I am Doom. Fuck you. That's awesome. That is so
yes,
good.
It is.
Oh my goodness. And now it's just exploded. And now we are having a conversation that I really did. Like, I knew Doomsday would be huge. Of course I did. I've been talking about it for years, but we're having a conversation now about Is it ridiculous to talk about a $400 million opening? I know I'm getting way, way, way ahead of ourselves. I'm acknowledging that. Totally admit this is getting way ahead of ourselves. But when you just had Spider-Man Brand New Day come out and set the new record of 360, and by the way, this is also one of the great moments. Did you do this, Victor? Oh my God. Anyway,
that's great. Dude, I love that so much.
Oh, that was so good. That moment was so good. But again, we'll talk more about the Doomsday trailer later. I'm just getting ahead of myself. But I mean, when you just have Spider-Man break that record, and now you're talking about it potentially pacing 65% ahead of where Spider-Man's events tickets were. I am not saying Avengers Doomsday is going to open to 370, 380, or $400 million. I am not saying that. However, what just a few weeks ago would have seemed laughable at a potential, like talking about something maybe having the potential of a $400 million opening weekend, laughable, purely laughable. Today, it's not that laughable. I'm not saying probable, improbable, but not laughable anymore. When you're seeing these ticket sales, this ravenous response to everything they've been getting, and of course, putting out this trailer that we've been saying for a while, Rob, should have been the first trailer. Notwithstanding the 4 little short ones they put out. That's different. But I mean, when dropping their first, this should have been the first trailer, but whatever, it's here now. Anyway, Rob, let's go over to you on this. You saw these numbers. The Wrap is claiming that right now, the advanced ticket sales, and again, different set of circumstances. It's not an apples to apples comparison, but in general, it's pacing 65% ahead of even where Spider-Man's was, which just ended up setting the new opening weekend record. What do you think about this? What stands out to you the most? Can it beat Spider-Man's record? What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, you have to go by, obviously, what we've seen in the past, because in terms of Avengers movies, there's 4 of them, and they're all very successful. And, you know, there's all this talk about Infinity War and Endgame, the build up to Thanos and all that. But I sort of reject that in the sense that lots of movies have villains that we've never met before, you know, that are in a series of films. Bond villains, for instance. Yeah, Blofeld comes back. But for the most part, you can have a new villain set up in any movie. And in the case of this, I mean, if they retcon and they tie it back to the multiverse and everything that's been going on, and it was actually Doom behind the whole thing, I mean, yeah, it's a retcon, but if they figure out clever ways to do it, it could be great. But everybody knows Dr. Doom. So it's like you're bringing in your heavy hitter, you know, and I made the point, that if you look at Infinity War and Endgame, and I see this movie as the third part of a trilogy that began with Infinity War. But I think that this movie, John, is going to be like Rocky 3. You know, I really do. You've got Rocky 1 was Infinity War. Rocky 2 was Endgame. You know, all the kids are running up behind Rocky and the steps in Philadelphia. But this is Clubber Lang. You know, what do you think about this fight? Pain. I mean, everybody's looking at this. I mean, not everybody, because obviously people are buying tickets. But
so is Endgame? I mean, is Secret Wars Rocky 4?
I don't know. Could very well be, because
who's Ivan Drago in this scenario?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that look, they're pulling out all the stops. I understand they might not have them as many heavy hitters, but this series has changed. It's grown. They know what they need to do. It's a huge, big swing, and I just want to see what's going to happen. I've been deliriously excited for this movie. It makes sense to me that the tickets are doing huge blockbuster pre-sales because something has changed. Look, with what happened with Odyssey, people could buy tickets a year in advance. What happens now with Spider-Man, I think that there is a way. I think movies are changing and they're becoming more events, cultural events. I think the 4 Beatles movies are going to be a cultural event too.
I think this is going to flop. I'm going to tell you, I think they're going to flop. But whatever, that's another discussion for another time.
Another discussion. But I think people are excited about this movie, man. And that trailer, come on. Who's not excited about that?
Oh my God. It looks, again, we'll get to it a little bit later, but again, these numbers are astronomical. 65% ahead. Now that just means that there's a lot of people excited to buy their tickets now. It is absolutely possible, just to be clear, that they can be pacing 65% ahead of Spider-Man and still not beat the opening weekend box office record. That's totally possible here, but it also opens the door of some possibilities of how big this thing could open. And we're just at the beginning of their marketing campaign now. Like with this thing at D23, they truly put the marketing campaign into full overdrive. And 4 months, guys. 4 months until we get there. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Wrap is reporting that the advanced ticket sales right now for Avengers Doomsday are pacing 65% ahead of the advanced ticket sales of Spider-Man Brand New Day, a movie that went on to set the opening weekend box office record at $360 million, an unheard of number. Can Doomsday do the same? Is 400, is the absolute unreachable number of a $400 million opening possible? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we get into the next topic, though, guys, listen, we're not talking about it as an issue today, but not for nothing. The Dune 3 tickets have been flying off the shelves. They're selling out all their screenings.
I
So
thought that was going on sale Tuesday.
I
I didn't
did
see it
too.
on AMC.
no, but I mean, all the advanced big screen things all sold out. The
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that they
For
had
sure.
tickets going on eBay for $2,500
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. And they're
Silly.
already saying the inquiries on the servers have been going off the charts for Dune 3. That is going to be, now Dune 3 isn't going to make nearly the numbers of Doomsday, but it's going to make a ton ass money.
And it's going to be hard to get in. I
That-
think like Odyssey.
It's going to be hard to get a
70.
parking spot at the movie
Yeah.
theater that weekend. Good luck. Take an Uber wherever you're going. Don't even think you're going to find parking at any movie theater that weekend, because between Doomsday and Dune, it's going to be nuts. Anyway, we'll talk about Dune 3's ticket sales on Wednesday. Anyway, guys, that all down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Lanterns debuted on HBO Max last night, and I'm going to let you guys know now that we are probably going to go into some spoilery detail about what happens into it. And I think it's fair to say, guys, that even though we're going into some spoilery detail, I don't think it's going to spoil much for you if you haven't seen it, because this first episode, as effing awesome as it is, it's really just laying groundwork. It's just setting up the scenario. And so take that for as it is, but I am giving you the heads up right now. We're going to talk a little spoilery detail about it, but believe me, I really don't think it's going to impede your viewing experience if you haven't watched it first already. That being said, first episode of Lanterns comes out last night. And I didn't watch the moment it dropped because, again, we were playing Dungeons & Dragons last night. But as soon as our D&D game was over, boom, plopped my fat ass down on the couch, grabbed the remote, whoa, get the HBO thing up there, and started watching Lanterns. It's awesome. Look, all I'm going to really say about it here is that everything that I had constructed in my head, which can be very dangerous when you're approaching a movie or a show, about what I was hoping this show would be when we heard that it was going to be very grounded, very true detective-ish sort of thing, a true kind of HBO feeling show instead of like a Disney Plus feeling show or whatever. And I went into it with kind of an idea about, man, I hope it means this. And Rob, for me, I don't know about for you, and I'll let you speak for yourself, but for me, I can't imagine being happier with a first episode. And it felt a lot like True Detective, like not just the time jumping and kind of the adversarial relationship between the partners and all that kind of stuff, but also the fact that it's a very slow unwinding, setting the ground of the mystery, while at the same time very definitively being a superhero show. Like, they released the first 5 minutes the other day, which felt great, but it actually continues that throughout it. Everything from the moment when Kyle says, "I'm late," which was just a perfect line and perfect delivery, to everything that takes place through that. I was eating up. I was eating up the character work. I was absolutely eating up the performances and the acting. A little like, oh my God moments, like, I might have slept with his wife. You might have slept with his wife. I absolutely slept with his wife. It was just like, it was so good. And then everything down to the interrogation scene, which I won't walk through in detail for you who haven't seen it. But for those of you watching, you know what I'm talking about. The interrogation scene was chef's kiss. It was
good.
So good. It was perfect. And it was immaculate Hal Jordan. And then we won't say what it was, but that ending was a WTF moment that I haven't felt like at the end of a first episode for a show in a while. Now, look, it's been true. I've gone into Lanterns with very high hopes and high expectations, but you guys who watch my show often know when I go into a show or movie with high hopes and high expectations, I often get disappointed. And I was fully prepared to maybe be a little bit let down by Lanterns. And listen, maybe it goes off the rails. Maybe it has a great first episode, first couple of episodes, and then it goes off the rails. Not for nothing, but the critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes has gone up to 95. It's gone up.
Haven't they seen 7 out of 8 episodes?
Mm-hmm. The only episode they did not show to the critics was the finale.
Right.
So they want to keep that one under wraps, but it's not like they just showed them the first 3 or 4 episodes or something. All I'm going to say, guy, as a fan, I'm walking away. I could not possibly be happier. I absolutely loved it. It, again, a great amalgamation of a comic book show with a true detective feeling show. I adored it. I love, again, the performances, the relationship between Hal and John is amazing. Like, they set that relationship up so perfectly and so well. And again, to me, that interrogation scene is one of my favorite scenes of the year. It's one of my favorite individual scenes of the year. I absolutely adored it. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to watch the first episode of Lanterns last night. What did you think about it?
Well, like you, dude, I loved it. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. And the funny thing is, like, I came as a kid, I loved Green Lantern. Loved Green Lantern because obviously he was space based. And when I grew up in the 70s as a little kid, I loved things and love that. But I was really wondering, how do you keep these cosmic characters in check when they're supposed to be dealing with the American heartland? And they leaned into it.
Yeah.
Like Hal Jordan was late because he was stopping some civil war on an alien planet. And one of the things that I've always, this is kind of a thing that I always think about in terms of these kinds of stories is, you know, all of these things are happening all around the world, all at the same time. Now, when you're a Green Lantern, I think fans think that the Green Lantern should be tied in, or the X-Men or the Avengers, about everything that's going on Earth at any one time. So when you're making a comic book show, you know, the Green Lanterns are going to show up wherever they need to show up. But this is a big planet, and there's stuff happening all the time, everywhere. And I love this idea. There was so many science fiction-y things that they presented matter-of-factly, like the the backup version of each Green Lantern that you make, that the Ring makes, you know, which was a concept that I thought was very interesting. And seeing how all of this works and all of the cosmic entity of it all. But when they brought it home, you talked about the interrogation scene.
Oh,
that's where we confront something in a really unique way, where, you know, we as the audience are kind of the Jon Stewart and the sheriff in that situation. We're like, yeah, whatever, dude. You can say what you want. But as that scene went along, it was so cleverly done. I really just enjoyed it. And I loved how, like, when Hal Jordan said, you know, this is aliens, it was almost comical. You're like, wait, we're in America's heartland. What do you mean there's alien? Why would aliens be here? you know, and we're at where there's unfortunately a school shooting, and the way they brought you into it, you kind of had to figure out what was going on. Like you were kind of slightly behind everything else. And when you got information, it was information that was catching up to what you'd already been thinking about. But the show is kind of a little bit farther ahead of you. It's not like happening right at the same time, which I kind of liked. I thought that was really interesting that we have to go with the show to find out what the answers are. The answers, they don't tell you the answers at the beginning of every scene. Stuff's happening. You're like, wait, what's going on? And I liked that. You had to kind of wait and catch up. And I thought it was a really interesting way to do it. But I thought Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre were so good together. And there was really great stuff. Like we saw in the first 5 minutes that Aaron Pierre Jon Stewart has a unique relationship with his father. Well, as the show went along, that relationship still exists. Like his dad is really, really, it's almost like a dad waiting to find out if his son made the sports team, you know, and how you doing, son? How's the testing going? You know, it's just, there was all these little details that I thought were so clever and fun about the show. But then the overarching mystery, it's like suddenly there's a militia. There's, of course, the wife. There's all kinds of stuff in here going, this is really interesting. It's really kind of weird and offbeat in addition to being a superhero show. So I was totally into this. I loved this. Loved it.
And listen, I'm getting a little bit more big picture on things. Supergirl, which let most of us down, was one bump in the road that DC's had so far. Superman was a triumph. Peacemaker's great. You know, a lot of people really like Creature Commandos. I thought Creature Commandos was pretty good, but I didn't love it, but a lot of people did, and that's fine. Supergirl was a big bump in the road. I think it was really important for DC's next project, not life or death, but important, that the next one kind of immediately tries to get things back on track. And I think it was really important for DC to come out with a strong Lantern show. Now, again, I'm acknowledging Lanterns could go off the rails. Maybe it becomes a joke and maybe it starts to suck, but it looks like things are great. And I love where they're going. The reactions to it and the reviews have been absolutely wonderful. The one thing I will say, though, as somebody brings this up, because I immediately pointed out Jason Ritter, who is, of course, also in Matlock. He's really good in Matlock. But Jason Ritter, John Ritter's son, my one sort of thing that I went about when John and Hal go into the house and into the kitchen, I'm like, that guy is supposed to be Jason Ritter's dad? That guy looks maybe like Jason Ritter's kind of older brother, but that's supposed to be his dad? Anyway, that one, yeah, it was a little bit, but other than that, I absolutely adored it. Again, I think they absolutely crushed it. I really do. It was a great first episode, especially in the terms of setting the stage, is what a great first episode should do. It's what its first episode did, was like, it just set this amazing stage. And also like Heroes episode 1, it ends with a WTF moment that makes you kind of just die for next week to come quickly so you can watch the next episode. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you guys have a chance to watch Lanterns season 1, episode 1? I loved it. I thought it was absolutely great. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we were just talking a few moments ago, and we've been talking for a number of weeks about the absolute triumph tour that Spider-Man Brand New Day is on. It just seems to be breaking box office records left and right. And, you know, a while ago, we said it's no longer a question of if Spider-Man's going to get to $2 billion. The $2 billion club being the most exclusive club in the history of Hollywood. The question became, when is it going to hit $2 billion? Well, that question has now been answered, as Spider-Man Brand New Day this weekend has crossed the $2 billion mark, becoming, I believe, I'll pull up the chart here in a second, only the 7th film ever in history to accomplish that goal. We go over and take a look at the chart, and we see there it is now, Spider-Man Brand New Day in the number 7 position of the all-time biggest films. Spider-Man is now the 7th biggest film of all time. Down at number 10, Inside Out 2. At number 8, Zootopia. At number 8, it just passed its own Spider-Man No Way Home, which just came short. Just came a little bit short of hitting that $2 billion mark. But now there you see it, Spider-Man Brand New Day, the number 7 biggest film of all time, now joining the $2 billion club at $2.02 billion. It is imminently going to be passing Avengers Infinity War. That sits at 2.05. Then it's going to quickly pass Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, at 2.07. By the way, interesting side note, guys. The big watch right now has been, can Spider-Man Brand New Day pass Star Wars The Force Awakens as the biggest domestic film of all time? Spider-Man was outpacing it by like $180 million. Then last week, that gap closed to outpacing it by $100 million. Well, now, in its third weekend, Star Wars The Force Awakens made more money on its third weekend than Spider-Man Brand New Day just made on its third weekend. So now it's starting to fall behind. So it's starting to become a question about whether or not, but either way, it's huge. And it could still catch it. Let's be clear. It might still catch it, but that's where things are at right now. But it will pass it for its overall worldwide total, 2.05. Then it's going to pass Titanic at 2.26. And I believe without too much trouble, it's going to pass Avatar: The Way of Water for number 3. It's a question about whether or not it can catch Avengers Endgame and Avatar. Like, that's still a question because it still needs to make almost $800 million, which is more than 95% of movies ever make in their entire theatrical runs. It still needs to make that. And so it's a question. It could catch Avengers Endgame. It could catch Avatar. It's still possible, but it still does have a long way to go. But I think we're safe to say that it will get the number 3 spot, no sweat. Because you see, there's a pretty big gap between the number 2 spot of Avengers Endgame at 2.7 and 400 million down from that is Avatar: The Way of Water at 2.3. So it's probably going to pass Avatar: The Way of Water. But again, joins the $2 billion club, only the 7th film in history to do it. And, you know, we talked about this before a little bit, but it bears repeating that, yes, a lot of hype going into the movie. Yes, the recent MCU films have been starting to get the movie goers' confidence back in the MCU with outings like Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. Not huge box office films, but movies that have been good enough to start to reestablish some fans' belief in the franchise. The fact that the last few Spider-Man films have all been very, very good. The fact that Tom Holland and Zendaya are like the it couple now. They are America's sweethearts. Like, a lot of things went into its big opening weekend. But these numbers go beyond opening weekend. These numbers are because all of that plus the movie is fantastic. If this movie's not fantastic, guys, this movie doesn't cross the $2 billion. I don't care how big the opening weekend was. If the movie's not fantastic and get fools like me going back for a second, third, and fourth viewings and dragging other people out to it, it doesn't cross the $2 billion mark. So this is one of those great instances where a truly commercial film also happens to be a truly fantastic film. And the results of which is Spider-Man Brand New Day, Rob, has joined the most exclusive club in all of the box office, which is only the 7th member of the $2 billion club. Rob, your thoughts on this? What's the most impressive thing about this to you? What do you attribute it getting to this landmark for? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if you look at the Spider-Man franchise, especially the Tom Holland version of it, you've got 4 films that just increase their box office film after film after film. And they've always delivered the goods. Tom Holland has endeared himself to the world, and so has Zendaya, and so has Jacob Batalon. And I think that this is just a franchise people love. I mean, it's as simple as that. And it really hasn't ever failed to deliver. And, you know, the way it's kind of grown and evolved, like, I worried that Brand New Day was the gimmick of it's what brought everybody in, but clearly this film has touched people even more. It was more emotional. I mean, not that losing Aunt May and No Way Home wasn't emotional and the other Spider-Man weren't emotional, but this film has a lot of different kinds of emotion flowing through it. And I think that people just love this movie. And I think that it's also a film that's very true to Spider-Man, the Spider-Man mythos themselves, the way people have thought about Spider-Man for decades. I think this film probably more than any other Spider-Man movie, even the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, this really nailed what people love about the character of Spider-Man. And this film is wildly entertaining. Its entire running time, you have a smile on your face the whole time. And then you get hit in the feels that you're not expecting with that scene with a certain person coming back. And I thought it was an incredible experience at the movies, and it's being rewarded for that. And I think it's as simple as that. It is a great film. It is a great representation of the character. It delivers exactly what the audience has wanted to see. And it was done so it was directed. There is more. This is the most Spider-Man of all Spider-Man movies. Watching him swing through the city comes right out of like the video games. We see Spider-Man depicted in ways that we hadn't seen before. There were times in this movie when I was like, whoa, it really felt like I was standing on the edge of the precipice of a building or an outcropping or something over New York. I think this is just, when you make something that nails the material that it's based on, this is what you get.
Yeah, they did an absolutely fantastic job with it. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Spider-Man Brand New Day has now done what we've all kind of known for a little while now it was going to do. It crossed that $2 billion mark, and it's still growing strong. I really don't see anything stopping it from taking the number 3 spot. Then the question becomes, can it catch Endgame? Can it catch Avatar? It's not outside the realm of possibility. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this and stay on the topic of box office results for a moment. Traditional logic tells us that if one movie is out and is completely dominating the box office, nothing else can do well at the same time. Odyssey has bucked that trend, as it has continued to make a lot of money, even with Spider-Man being out and being in theaters. As a matter of fact, as Variety reports, Odyssey is actually outselling Spider-Man tickets in some markets around the world, which is kind of crazy at the same time. But while Spider-Man was celebrating crossing into the $2 billion club, which, again, super congrats to it for doing that, Odyssey is very quietly continued on making stupid amounts of money. It came in second place at the box office again on its 5th weekend. Now, here's something interesting for you. The Odyssey just had in terms of the 5th weekend, the 9th biggest 5th weekend in box office history. Now, remember, here's the key thing. It did this with Spider-Man Brand New Day being out in theaters. That's the thing you really got to take a step back and appreciate, is with Spider-Man Brand New Day in theaters and the Odyssey going up against it, the Odyssey ended up enjoying the 9th biggest 5th weekend in history. Now, one of the big questions that people like me have had was, and not just a question, I've been listening, Odyssey's going to do great. Odyssey's going to make a ton of money. But come on now, it's not going to catch Deadpool and Wolverine as the highest grossing R-rated film in history. Deadpool and Wolverine just has too much going for it. It's not going to catch that. Yeah, well, screw that. Because as of right now, after this weekend's incredible results, the Odyssey has passed Joker into the number 3. Now, these are, by the way, just want to remind everybody, these 3 films here are the only 3 R-rated films in history to be in the $1 billion club. Out of all the members of the $1 billion club, only 3 of them are rated R. They are Joker, they are the Odyssey, and they are Deadpool and Wolverine. So the Odyssey is now past Joker But look at how far behind Deadpool and Wolverine it is now. Just $47 million, $47 million and change. To put that into perspective, it just made 40 something million this past weekend. 23 million at the domestic, another 17 million plus on the international market, and it's still going. And there are still IMAX screenings that are sold out. At this point now, it has moved the conversation from can it ever catch Deadpool to now it's just a matter of when. The Odyssey is going to pass Deadpool and Wolverine. And it's probably going to do it in the next week or so. So not only did the Odyssey crack $1 billion, not only did the Odyssey become Christopher Nolan's highest grossing movie ever, that includes his Batman films. Wrap your heads around that, guys. This is bigger than his Batman films. But it's now about to pass Deadpool and Wolverine to become the highest grossing R-rated film in history. Which is odd because I was told this movie was going to flop. I saw it all over the place, guys. Everybody, all these people on the internet saying the Odyssey was going to flop.
Well, it's
anyway,
woke slop. It's
a
woke
bunch
slop.
of woke
Let's
slop
face
in that
it.
Odyssey movie. No one's going to go see that. It's going to flop.
Ruined
Totally
it.
flop.
Ruined it. This is just Hollywood's woke slop trying to push an agenda.
So here we are now, and it's about to do something that I admit, if you had asked me 3 months ago, do you think Odyssey can catch Deadpool and Wolverine? I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, maybe there's an outside chance it gets to $1 billion. Like, that's a possibility, but I don't even really think it gets to $1 billion, but it's got a shot. Deadpool and Wolverine is off the table. You're not catching Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not going to make 1.33. It's an R-rated period piece, kind of Homeric epic. It's not going to get to 1.3 billion. Well, Christopher Nolan says, hold my Diet Shasta, because here I come. I am Christopher Nolan. Hell answers to me, for I am Nolan. And here we are now sitting on the precipice of it beating the highest grossing film, highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Rob, you have always had an even stronger belief in Odyssey than I did, because I always believed it would be a huge hit, but you believed it was sky high numbers could be possible. We're now on the brink of it passing Deadpool and Wolverine. It's now a question of when it's going to do it, not if. Yeah, I mean, it's just uncanny. And again, to drive this point home, because this is not a small detail, guys, it's legging out all this extra box office while Spider-Man Brand New Day is in theaters at the same time. You don't think Dune 3 can make a lot of money? I present to you this. Anyway, Rob, it is now inevitable, right, that it will catch Deadpool and Wolverine? If so, what's the most impressive thing about that? What does that tell you about the film itself? Or maybe even about where the industry is as a whole right now? What are you taking away from this?
Well, again, you know, we've said it so many times, but C-Note here, the cult of Christopher Nolan.
C-Note, I love that still.
It's not a cult, but you have a man, you know what I think is the key to Christopher Nolan is that he does not talk down to his audience. He is able to somehow, through his extraordinary ability to create reality on the screen, even when he's dealing with fantasy, he also has a way to connect with audiences on a much deeper level than people give him credit for. And I think that, look, I think Christopher Nolan's biggest, I'm a Nolan fan, but he's very academic and clinical in his movie making, you know, whereas Spielberg can amp up the emotion. I think Christopher Nolan has a different way of working, and that different way of working is unique to him. We've never seen the likes of him before. Nobody makes movies the way he does. He's not Kubrickian, he's Nolan-esque, and that's the only explanation. And there's something about, people know that when you go see a Christopher Nolan movie, he's somebody that is going to challenge you and ask you as an audience to step up to his level. And I think people want that. I think people want to walk in And look, we saw these people that are being detractors because it wasn't some perfect adaptation of the Odyssey, which is an oral tradition story that wasn't transcribed until hundreds of years after it was being told. So all of the complaints that were leveled against this movie were kind of, I don't know, I'd say made up, because the reality of the situation is Christopher Nolan's going to tell the movie, the story, the way he's going to tell the story. And we expect it to be Christopher Nolan's version of the Odyssey, not Homer's. That's why it's an adaptation. You know, when Coppola made Bram Stoker's Dracula, he called it Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know, Nolan didn't call this movie Homer's Odyssey. And if anything, you're watching this story filtered through the eyes of Nolan and what it meant to him. And what I think audiences are responding to is the authenticity of the artist. That Christopher Nolan is giving you something that only he can give you. And I think audiences can sense that. And in a way, the same is true of what Destin Critton did for Spider-Man. And I think that's what people have been missing, even with giant IPs, or even when you're dealing with filmmakers that are at the top of their game. The authenticity of their voice is what audiences respond to. You know, that's why we went. We knew in the 80s when you went and saw a Spielberg movie, you were going to get a certain thing, whether it was Raiders, whether it was E.T., whether it was The Color Purple, whether it was Empire of the Sun. You knew that Spielberg could deliver across genres, across stories, and you would get something that was uniquely Spielberg. I think that's what Nolan has done, and I think people are starving for that kind of authenticity in not just who people are online, but they're starving for it in their art. They're starving for it everywhere because the rest of the world is so fraudulent. Everybody's lying to you. Everything is a scam. But Christopher Nolan shows up and he gives you something that you can believe in. And that's why I think this movie works.
And why it just continues bringing audiences in. You know, I was playing poker this weekend, and guys at the table just randomly started talking about movies and stuff, and somebody said, I still haven't seen that Odyssey. My wife wants to go. We got to go and see it. It's like, it's still in its 5th week. Everybody's still talking about it, and it's going to be interesting to see how high it goes, and it's going to do something I honestly did not think it could do. It's going to cross Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to become the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, and I didn't see that coming. But you know what? Couldn't happen to a better film. And I got to say, as I bring this list up again, it's great to see this list of the 3 R-rated films that are in the $1 billion club, and to say that I love all 3 of them. We won't talk about the second Joker movie, okay? We won't talk about Joker Folie à Deux. But I mean, that first Joker movie, loved it. Deadpool and Wolverine, awesome. The Odyssey, it's great to say that I love all 3 of them, so it's nice to see all 3 of those having that kind of success. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It does now look like it's imminent that the Odyssey is going to cross. It's crazy. Deadpool and Wolverine to become the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, this past Friday night was the big Disney Entertainment, Disney Pictures presentation from Anaheim at D23. Now, it bears saying again, they started doing something a couple of years ago that Comic-Con desperately needs to take note of and do, because they have been stubborn fucking idiots with their thumbs up their asses, continuing to do their big presentations in Hall H, which can literally only hold 6,000 people, causing massive problems for everybody. But I won't go into that whole rant again. But again, a couple of years ago, Disney moved their big presentation at D23 out of the Anaheim Convention Center and into the arena where the Anaheim Mighty Ducks play hockey, into the Honda Center, which can hold like 20,000 people. And listen, I may think Disney are a bunch of incompetent boobs when it comes into putting on their live events, but credit where it's due. Those presentations that they put on in Honda Center are excellent. They do a great job. And this year was no exception, as they did a banger of a presentation again. Banger of a presentation. Full marks. Tip of the hat, whatever kind of saying you want to throw at it. They did a great job. And a number of things came out of that I think were absolute highlights. And I thought, instead of going through, because this happened Friday night, it was several days ago. There's no point in us doing a full thing about, let's talk about Indy Navarrete being cast as Rogue. Let's talk about Adam Driver being cast as Mr. Sinister. Let's talk about the Vision Quest trailer. Oh, let's talk about, instead of doing those, because again, it was several days ago that happened. I thought we would take a minute here, guys, and talk about what was our favorite highlights coming out of it. And I'll just say my 5 right out of the gate. It was, in no particular order, it was the Avengers Doomsday trailer. It was the Vision Quest trailer. It was the Indy Navarrete as Rogue. It was Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. And this one's going to surprise you. This one's going to surprise you. I really like that Ahsoka season 2 trailer. I really do.
Wow.
I don't like Ahsoka. I thought season 1 was a fart in the wind. Not the worst thing I'd ever seen, but just pretty much a nothing burger, big nothing burger. I gotta say, I really did, and I'm shocked. I'm as shocked as anybody. I really like the Ahsoka trailer. We can go more into some of the details here in a second, but Rob, Jonathan and I were doing the live stream, but you weren't with us because you were en route doing between different things. What were going just quickly off the top of your head, what to you were the best highlights from that particular presentation that they did?
Well, I liked everything that you said, but I liked them and those are the things I was most interested in. And the Ahsoka trailer was surprisingly better than I thought, but I love the fact that we're getting a Coco too, and they gave us a sense that he's grown up a little bit.
Yep.
And I loved hearing that we were going to get that. But this is going to seem strange because it wasn't necessarily a part of the Friday presentation. But the thing that I love Disneyland. I've loved Disneyland since I first went back in the 70s. And they announced at D23 what they're doing with the Rivers of America.
Right, but we're talking about what came out of that presentation, not the overall D23.
Right, but I just had to say that because I'm very excited what they're doing with the whole land there. It's insane what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, other than Coco 2, all of mine echo because I didn't see the whole thing. I was busy and then I was coming back, so I saw the latter half of the presentations. So I'd seen Coco 2 because that was like at the beginning, and then it was the latter half. You were with Christian for I saw a few things, then he was gone. But I mean, all of this. Look, I wasn't in Hall H, so I didn't see the Doomsday trailer. I love the Doomsday trailer. I love seeing Reed get very angry. The X-Men cast is great, just like we thought it was, and I like seeing Kevin Feige get up and do the presentation. I like Feige. I like seeing him, because to me, he's he's perhaps the greatest nerd made good in history. He was a PA working for Richard Donner. And I relate to that because I was a PA working on Free Willy, which was a Richard Donner movie. I think it was before Feige's time. But I just liked seeing it. He always has such sort of a boyish enthusiasm when he gets up to announce these things. And he clearly had a lot to smile about. So it was just nice to see all of it and how positive it all was. That and everybody seems to be excited to be there. And I have to say, the video of Adam Driver at Pinewood was pretty funny.
Oh, that was great.
And then when he introduced himself as
Magneto, no.
When he said Milbury is such a deep cut.
Yeah,
right.
That I'm sure the audience is like,
wait. Milbury is one of Nathaniel Essex's. I'm tripping over my tongue. Essex's aliases
and
in one of the storylines. Yeah,
but it was ballsy of them to do that because the audience is like, wait, what?
Yep.
So it was. I like that too.
But some people I already saw ask me in the live chat, John, like Ahsoka over the Starfighter trailer. I'm gonna give. First of all, I loved the Starfighter trailer. And a big thank you to everybody in the live chat who sent it to me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's really good. It's really great, but it's mostly exactly what you would think about a trailer. Any sort of a trailer they release right now is. It's just a bunch of little segments. It's about a video package. Yeah, it's really short. You do get some Ryan Gosling dialogue in there talking about the Starfighter. Like he mentions in it, this kid says, "What ship is this?" And he says, "It's a retired or a decommissioned Imperial blah, 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 blah. Fastest starfighter ever made." And then you see a bunch of sweeping shots. So it was really good for a first little teaser, but the Ahsoka, and it was great. I loved it. I cannot wait to see this movie. I think it's going to be fantastic. But the Ahsoka trailer, which honestly, I don't think the show's going to be very good. I don't think season 2 is going to be very good because season 1 wasn't very good, but credit where it's due. I thought that Ahsoka trailer gave it epic scope. It showed it was a big swing for a first trailer. For a first trailer, it was a big swing, and I have to give credit where credit is due. I thought they really killed it. Let's talk for a second here about the casting, since we haven't done that yet on the show. Let's talk about Indy Navarrete. So we, of course, got suspicious that she was going to be cast because we heard officially that she had met with Jake Schreier, the director of X-Men. And then, of course, as the stream was going on, Jonathan, you pointed out, hey, there are official reports coming out now saying Indy Navarrete on the step and repeat, and Indy Navarrete is in the building. Yeah.
They started posting pictures. I'm like, come on, if she's there at the step and repeat.
If she's there, she's going to be announced as in the X-Men. I did not have Rogue on my bingo card, but God, if I don't love the casting. She's awesome. She's got all the range in the world. I think she's going to be an absolute killer Rogue. And, as far as the Adam Driver thing goes, when those first reports came out that Adam Driver may be playing Magneto, a lot of people said, hey, great. He's going to be a great Magneto. He's a fantastic actor. But, man, I could really see him as Mr. Sinister. Like, a lot of people were saying that. And then as it turns out, we have him as Mr. Sinister. So Rob, let's talk about those two things for a second. First of all, the casting of Indy Navarrete, the casting of Adam Driver. What did you think about those?
Well, I thought they were great. It's so weird to me when somebody has the kind of breakthrough performance that Indy Navarrete had in Obsession, she gets a new job. She's clearly, she was part of the reason Obsession became one of the most successful independent movies ever made. And she did a great, in her ability, I think she was really what sold them on her was her ability to change it up so quickly.
Oh yeah.
Like in one scene, and you could see Rogue to go from that sort of Southern Belle persona into somebody that's really, remember, she was a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. When she was first introduced, she took Carol Danvers' power away in Avengers Annual 10. And I could see her playing it up that way. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they played a little bit of that famous storyline out in the movie. But, obviously, she's, I think, a great choice for Rogue. I think a better choice, I liked Anna Paquin as Rogue, but I think Anna Paquin was more of a subdued, sweet Rogue. I think Indy Navarrete will bring the sass.
Yeah, a little bit of a saucy Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. And of course, Adam Driver, I was hoping that it would be Mr. Sinister that he would play because I think he wasn't right for Magneto. But for Mr. Sinister, absolutely. And already, whether it's Boss Logic's art or everyone else's artwork, like you've got on the thumbnail of the show, I think he's going to be a great Mr. Sinister.
Oh, listen, I think he's such a good actor that even if he had been Magneto, I was totally down. I was absolutely down for him playing Magneto. Inevitably though, look, let's call what it is. No matter who they announced as Rogue, there would be a whole bunch of people that would hate the casting, no matter who. Like they could have cast Odessa O'Zion. They could have cast Kylie Spaney or whatever. And there would have been a bunch of people that hated it. And sure enough, predictably, there are a bunch of people that hate the Indy Navarrete. But I just don't understand because there's still some people. I got into this debate with somebody, and it was, Andy Navarrette's only like 5'1". Rogue's supposed to be taller. This is terrible casting. I'm like, find me one person on the street who can tell you how tall Rogue is supposed to be.
It's so exasperating.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares how tall Rogue is. And I said this, look, when talking about a physical difference between a character in its original source material and how you portray it on screen, you always have to ask the question, is that physical characteristic a part of the story, or is that physical characteristic just a part of the description? Because if a physical characteristic is only a part of the description and has no impact on the story, then who cares? I gave the example the other day of Harry Potter's little lightning-shaped scar in his head, right? That is a part of his description. But as you go through Harry Potter, it also plays a role in the story about how people respond to him in the world, how people identify him, all that kind. It's a part of the story, not just a part of the description. Rob, you know as well as I do, Rogue's height has never been a part of the story. Nobody cares. And then I get this other guy trying to, well, she doesn't sound like Rogue. First of all, nobody knows what Rogue sounds like because Rogue is on a comic book page.
I hear colors.
Yeah.
I hear colors on a comic book page.
It's like you hear a voice that you made up in your head. That's like, so don't tell me that's what Rogue sounds like.
They got voices in their head.
Now, and if you're going by X-Men 97, dude, that is a 66-year-old Canadian good Canadian kid, but that is literally a 66-year-old actress doing the voice of Rogue. Come on, darling, go and fetch me my walker. I mean,
that throws me off.
I love that fact that it's the original woman who does the voice from the original X-Men animated series. But I mean, she sounds every bit of, again, great Canadian actress, but she sounds like she's 66 years old. So don't tell me you're worried about what Rogue sounds. Look, Indy Navarrette's a great actress. She's going to pull it off. She's going to make it great. And yeah, I just can't. Now, if you've got other issues with Indy Navarrete playing the role, I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, casting is a very personal thing. I totally get it. I just think it's ridiculous if the thing you've got against it is she's not tall enough, or she doesn't sound like this 66-year-old woman I hear playing a 21-year-old Rogue.
I gotta laugh at that. I had it like in my head canon, like it would have been someone like Margaret Qualley from The Substance as well.
Yeah, she could have been great awesome. Too.
And maybe she'll still work with Marvel at some point. Maybe she has no interest. I don't know. That's just who I had. But when I heard this, I was just equally as excited or intrigued. I think the person that I'm most intrigued about, because I know very little and I didn't see him as Professor X, was Christopher Abbott. I mean, I don't know him later. But.
Yeah, we found out about that well before D23. Yeah. But yeah, that one surprised me a bit too. Yeah.
His performance, how it's going to translate. So,
I mean, well, yeah, but look. He's a fine actor. I've only seen a couple of his things, but he's always been really good in everything I've seen him in. So there's that. And as far as the Adam Driver thing, I'm just with Rob. I think that's astounding. Let's just take a second though. Let's take a second before we end this segment and talk about that Doomsday trailer. Now, of course, it's the one they released at Comic-Con, but they didn't put it out for the world to see. And you know what? I had somebody tell me this to confirm it. They were never planning on releasing it online. But the response it got, because remember they said at Comic-Con, this is exclusive for Comic-Con only. And they released it there, but the response it got, I think they realized they had something really, really special there. And they decided to show it at D23 and then decided to put it up online for the world. So everybody's seen it now. We said it with the bootlegs, but we'll say it again. This trailer's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't everything. Like, they've set the framework perfectly. You never had to have seen Dr. Doom before or know anything about Dr. Doom to really feel him as the antagonist for this film. Starting right off with Sue going, Victor was always the smartest guy in the room. He was brilliant. He was kind. And then everything was taken away from him. Like they set the story, they do all the groundwork. They lay the foundation of everything. And then he lost everything. And that, again, that whole thing about Reed games, did you do this, Victor? Did you do this? Like I thought was awesome. And then of course the Thor interaction with him, like hell answers, like, come on. How do you come up with a more Victor Von Doom line than hell answers to me? Come
Thor
on.
can't catch a break.
Like poor Thor constantly running
He
into
just
the
can't catch a break.
biggest of the big. Anyway, Rob, you've now got to see it in its full HD glory and everything.
Many times.
What did you think about that Doomsday trailer?
I loved it. I mean, what's not to love as an old school comic book fan? You get the monologuing. I love Downey's voice. I love seeing all these characters interact, and I love it. Finally, look, I'm gonna admit something about Pedro Pascal that I think Pedro Pascal was so great on Game of Thrones, and I really liked him in The Equalizer 2. Who's kind of a villain,
it turns out to be the bad guy.
I felt he's been a little flat in a lot of things, and I thought he was a little flat as Reed Richards. So in this trailer,
I'm going to disagree with you on that, but that's fine. That's fine. We disagree on that, but please continue.
He was good. He was good as Reed Richards, but I wanted to see more. Anyway, I got that from him in this trailer. When he's screaming at Doom, I'm like, that's Reed Richards. That's what I want to see. I want to see somebody that can take it over the top if necessary. And he
got
did
some of that Game of Thrones Viper out of him.
Yeah, loved it. I loved it. That's what I wanted, and that's what I wanted to see. And I think this is a good trailer. And what I also loved about it is they barely touch on the stuff that happens in this movie. They don't even get into all the.
It's really just more of the scene we already saw in the last trailer. If you think about it, it's just different angles.
Just a few extra seconds here or there that we didn't get before, the Sue narration at the beginning. But yeah, they are showing us a very limited scope of what the film is in these trailers, which is really good.
That Sue narration reminded me of the Gamora narration for when she was talking about Thanos and the snap.
Right.
And all of that.
Yeah.
Kind of echoed that.
That's in there a little bit too. Again, and I just really feel like this is the one they should have let off with. I thought this is the one they should have let off with. Again, I like the other trailer. I like the other trailer a lot. I really do. But this is the one that kicks you in the ass. This is the one that really gets your attention. So
we're definitely getting a third.
Oh yeah. We're going to get, I think we're still 4 months away. We're going to get a couple of more big trailers, I think. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What were the big standout things for you coming out of that D23 presentation? Was it the road casting? Was it the Vision? By the way, we didn't even talk about the Vision Quest trailer, which I thought was great. Was it the Star Wars Starfighter trailer? Was it the Adam Driver casting? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the conversation and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do that, we are going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
And, of course, our technical director, Jonathan Voico. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. See you guys soon.
All right, guys. Now with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Just so you do know, like I said earlier in the show, we turned off the Super Chats a long time ago because they got all filled up. But let's get over now and take a look at the Super Chats you guys did send in. And we're going to start things off here with, I believe, Never Lose Your Nerd Rights. Just off looks, I'm not sure about Professor X cast. That is the least important thing in the world. It's the least important thing in the world. Nobody looked at Hugh Jackman, the Broadway star, and say, oh, that looks like Wolverine. It looked nothing like Wolverine. Now we have a hard time imagining anybody else playing Wolverine. It is the least important thing. Is it one of the factors? Yes, but it's the least important factor, right? Like nobody looked at James McAvoy and thought, that looks like Professor X, but he was a great younger Professor X. So I'm not worried about it at all. they're going to shave his head at some point and whatever. And then a few years from now, it's going to be hard to imagine anybody other than him or Patrick Stewart playing the role. So the most important thing is, does this actor fit the role? Does their talents fit the role? And clearly the casting people think they do. I've liked the work I've seen him in. So I wouldn't worry about whether you look at him with his full head of hair and what he's been in before and think, well, he doesn't look quite. Don't worry about that. All that stuff can be taken care of very, very quickly. If the movie's good, that's all that matters. If the performance is good, that's all that matters. Because listen, I've seen movies based on other source material where the actor or actress looks just like their portrayal in the original source material, and it ended up being a bag of shit. So it doesn't save anything. So I wouldn't worry about it myself. I mean, it's a great little bonus if it does line up, but I wouldn't worry about it. Never lose your nerd. All right, next up, Gavin Cagle writes, no spoiler for Doomsday, but a certain opening fight has been circling online regarding a group of people and one specific person that, if true, is going to devastate me. Well, prepare to be devastated. Really hoping it's not true. Oh, I know the one you're talking about, and it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's out there. You've seen it. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. And yes, it's one I've known about. By the way, like I found out about a year ago. My sense of time is terrible. Maybe it was 6 months ago. I feel like it was a year ago that I first kind of got read in on the stuff for Doomsday. And a couple of things surprised me because there was one or two things I thought weren't going to happen in it. Not just that I thought weren't going to happen in it, I was told was not going to happen in it. And it turns out they happened. And so I've known that. I've had to sit on that for about a year, but I know the thing you're talking about in particular. And yes, that is happening. All right. Next up, Bobby Jackson writes, hot take. While I like both Anne Hathaway's performance in End of Oak Street is more worthy of an Oscar nom than her performance in Odyssey. I don't know if I said that on the show today, but I literally said that to Jonathan and Rob today. I just can't remember if I said it to them on the show or not. I literally said that exact same thing. Look, not saying that the Odyssey isn't better than the End of Oak Street. It is. Odyssey is a better movie, 100%. I'm just saying that Anne Hathaway is so good in the End of Oak Street. I actually think the role calls on her to do a few more things in that movie than she does in the Odyssey. And I'm with you. She's fabulous in the Odyssey. I thought she was even better in a not as good movie in the End of Oak Street. I thought she was great in it. I'm 100% with you on that, Bobby. All right. Joey writes, if not Spider-Man Brand New Day, I feel like Endgame also has a shot at passing The Force Awakens' domestic all-time box office record. It's only $78 million away. Yep, it does. I'm not going to sit here and say it will, but it absolutely has a shot. When Avengers Endgame Encore comes out, it absolutely has a shot at making $80 million domestic. Absolutely has a shot, especially with all the hype right now. Especially all the hype leading into Doomsday, all the hype coming off of Spider-Man Brand New Day. It absolutely has a shot at catching Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Again, I'm not saying it's going to, but it's definitely in play. It's 100% in play. All right, Christopher Brickner writes, I really like the Ahsoka Season 2 trailer. I liked how you could notice on the location filming and how it shows we will see a war and big battles. Yeah, but the question is that were those clips just cherry picked and don't actually represent a lot of the show, or are they truly representative of the show? I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. Ahsoka Season 1, while I love Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, I think she's great for the role. Ahsoka Season 1, it was a fart in the wind. It wasn't very good. Not terrible, not the worst thing Star Wars has done. Had some upside, has some potential, but ultimately pretty disappointing. And if I had a nickel every time she just crossed her arms and breathed heavily, I would be a rich man. So I don't have a lot. I'm going to admit, I don't have a lot of faith for Season 2. I'm open to being pleasantly surprised. I'm just saying I don't have a lot of faith in it, but credit where credit is due. That was a great trailer. That was a great trailer. That even I, who have my doubts about it, even I had to go, you know what? Tip of the cap, sir. That looks really good. So we'll see if the show can live up to the quality of that trailer, because that was a really good trailer, man. Give it its credit. All right, Christopher also writes, I like how Thrawn says he declares war on the Rebel Alliance instead of calling them the New Republic. I noticed that too. Shows how much he respects their legitimacy. Yep, 100%. Listen, despite the fact... Okay, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Let's just say this. Getting the guy who's Mads Mikkelsen's brother, who did the voice work for Thrawn before to play the role, I mean, he exudes Thrawn. He really does. He really does. I've loved the Thrawn character, both in the Heir to the Empire books, but also I really like the way they did Thrawn in the new Thrawn books that they did in recent years. And I really like the way they used him in Rebels. And I think he's a great embodiment of Thrawn. And I'm going to look forward to seeing how they use him this season. All right, next up. Remmer writes, watch Spider-Man Brand New Day again in IMAX. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie live action. Also, definitely always prefer the Dolby seats. Dude, Dolby seats have totally spoiled me. I only ever want to watch a movie in a Dolby theater, partially because of the incredible dual laser projection system and the incredible top of the industry Dolby surround sound. But I do like me them leather recliners, man. I really do. So that's part of the reason why I like seeing it there so much too, Remmer. All right, Christopher Benson writes, last Saturday, the 15th, marked the 40th anniversary of David Cronenberg's The Fly being released in theaters. I still contend that it's Jeff Goldblum's best performance to date. Great movie. It's certainly, well, I guess you can make an argument that his most memorable one is Jurassic Park. Yeah, you can make an argument for that. But you know what? I won't argue with you over that. I won't argue with you that The Fly may very well be his best performance. Which is weird for a guy with the career that Jeff Goldblum's had to point to The Fly, but he really was fantastic in it. Man, I can't believe that movie's 40 years old. I missed the anniversary. That's such a good movie. Thanks for that, Christopher. Raymond Verrata writes, Indy Navarrette's got her bag from the MCU after a great performance in a low-budget film. Rogue better beat that Mary Sue crap. Marvel or it's a no-no. Not really sure what you mean by that. But yeah, listen, I heard somebody say, and we talked about this a bit on the What Other People Think segment we did about the Indy Navarrete casting. You know, you heard some people say that, oh, they only cast Indy Navarrete because Obsession was so popular. I'm like, no. They cast her because she gave a performance in Obsession that is probably going to get her a Best Actress nomination. It's not a lock, but if I had to put $5 on it today, and again, we got a lot of more movies to see, but I'm willing to bet $5 she gets a Best Actress nomination. I've never before seen a role, or at least it's very rare for a movie to have any role in it that calls on a performer to go constantly from one extreme to the other, emotionally emoting, than the role of Nikki in Obsession does. Like, forget Indy Navarrete, just the role itself. It's very rare that you find any role that calls for that kind of dynamic and that kind of range. And to be able to do it at the drop of a hat. And Indy Navarrete killed it. Like, a girl that age should not be capable of delivering a performance like that. It's not the popularity of Obsession that got her the role of Rogue. It was her performance in Obsession that got her the role. And it was a world-class performance. And what better thing is there to base it on? So yeah, she was pretty incredible. All right. Next up, we got Remmer writes, the Avengers Doomsday presale proves Spider-Man Brand New Day has greatly helped it, and it's definitely riding the momentum. Oh yeah, well yeah, that goes without saying, Remmer. Like we've been saying for a while that, look, things that come before will influence what comes after, right? it's not a big wild coincidence that what was the second Batman movie called? Or the third Batman movie calls again, The Dark Knight Rises. The reason Dark Knight Rises made so much, because that's easily the weakest of the Batman films, of the Christopher Nolan Batman films, but it's because of how good the one before it was. Like, that absolutely influences. Doesn't completely determine, but it influences. And that's why we said in the weeks leading up to Spider-Man Brand New Day, we were saying, listen, you want to know what's really going to influence how good or bad Avengers Doomsday does, other than its quality, is how well does Spider-Man do? Not just do people go see it, but do people like it? Because if people don't like Spider-Man Brand New Day, that's going to hurt, not kill, but hurt Avengers Doomsday. If people love it, it's not going to make Avengers Doomsday, but it's going to help. And it's definitely a part of the momentum. 100% it is. All right. Next up, Sam Fisher writes, love the X-Men cast. The field team seems like Scott, Jean, Storm, Rogue, and maybe Emma. And listen, we may have a whole bunch of other names to come. We don't know. That could be it. We could get a whole bunch of other names, but it feels incomplete. Weren't Bobby, Angel, and Hank rumored? Every X-Men character was rumored. Every X-Men character was rumored. Who cares about what was rumored? Nobody ever announced that any of them were going to be there. There was never any official announcement from Kevin Feige, from Jake Schreier, from anybody that those characters are going to be there. There were rumors that everybody was going to be in it. Everybody at some point had a rumor, so don't worry about the rumors. But again, they may not be done. They may not be done announcing X-Men cast members. There could be 7 or 8 more. There could be 2 or 3 more. There could be 1 more, whatever. But I have a feeling they're not quite done. So maybe we get a Bobby, Iceman. Maybe we get Warren or Angel. Maybe we get Beast and Hank. Maybe we still get those, but maybe we don't. Maybe it'll be other characters altogether. All right. Bry Guy writes, Kyle Chandler perfectly embodies an older Hal Jordan. That interrogation scene, chef's kiss. I said those exact words myself earlier. I said, that interrogation scene, chef's kiss. It was perfect. It was great. And listen, I'll say this. You guys remember that Josh Brolin was originally in talks to play it? And then ultimately in the 9th hour, Josh Brolin decided not to take the role. You know how much I love Josh Brolin. I love Josh Brolin. Kyle Chandler is the best guy to play this Hal Jordan. I mean, there might have been 1 or 2 others that could have been even better, but honestly, I think after watching him in the role now, I'm actually glad it's him and not Josh Brolin. And again, I'm 100% sure Josh Brolin also would have done a great job. No doubt about it. I'm not questioning that. But after now seeing Kyle Chandler, I think things worked out the way they were supposed to work out. I think things worked out. They worked themselves out, and what was supposed to happen happened. So yeah, there was that. All right, next up, we've got Elon or Ian. That's a very interesting name. Anyway, writes in a $20 super chat. Thank you. And Ian, is that the pronunciation of it? Anyway, that's a very cool first name. Anyway, I'm just going to go with Ian. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing. Sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. And he writes in, hey there, John. Greeting from Edinburgh, Scotland to all Canadians. What's your email? As the talk about Magneto and his origins, I had thoughts on how you can still link it to the Holocaust, but his family instead. Great show. I mean, that is one option. You know, one of the big debates going on about Magneto in the new X-Men movie is you're going to have to change his origin story. Now, guys, do you know the Holocaust was not always a part of Magneto's origin story? Like many characters in comics, they've changed the origin story for a long time. I don't believe it was until the 1980s that they introduced the concentration camps and World War II as a part of Eric's backstory. That wasn't something they added on later. They changed it already. So I've made the argument, and a lot of other people have made the argument for a long time, that as my favorite comic book character of all time, Magneto, you have to change that part of that version of his origin story, because then today you'd have a Magneto in his 90s. And some people's really frustrating solution to that is, we'll just say, give him another mutant power that says he ages slowly. You don't change the character like that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm very protective of Magneto. You don't change that. You don't, that's not his power. He does not age slowly. That's not Eric's power. And again, the whole concentration camp stuff, that was never part of his original origin story anyway. You're going to have to change it. So the important part about Eric's origins is that at a young age, he witnessed the horrors and how bad and the worst of humanity that turned his heart against humanity. That's the important thing. So it can't be World War II anymore, because again, we'd have to have an Eric in his 90s now. So what you do instead is you take another horrific incident that happened in human history and make that the basis. Now, I guess another thing you could do is say, well, it's still the Holocaust, but it happened to his parents. But I think it needs, and that's a possibility, but I think it needs it to be personal. It can't be an Eric hearing about the atrocities that happened to his family. I think it's something that a young Eric has to witness with his own eyes. It has to be something for something that literally alters the course of his life. I think it has to be that. So whether you make that, Bosnia, or whether you make that, any one of the other, the Rwandan massacres, or one of the many human atrocities that have happened, it's going to have to be something a little bit closer to today's time. And it can't be that anymore, unfortunately. All right. Next up, we've got Anch writes, every teaser / trailer ever released of Doomsday clearly has been from a very limited set of scenes. This really excites me. Thoughts? Well, yes, but don't read too much into that yet, because the movie is still 4 months away. It's still 4 months away. So I think at minimum, we've got 2 more full trailers coming. Not just 1 more. We've got minimum 2 more, maybe 3. I'll stick on 2. 2 seems safer. Like, probably in about 2 more months, we'll get another trailer, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks before it's opening, they'll drop the final big trailer. So I'm thinking we get minimum 2 more. So they may expand that out a little bit. But yeah, I do like the fact that they're only showing us a very finite piece of the movie while still making really incredible trailers. So that's always good. When you can find a way to do both, make really compelling, explanatory trailers, and at the same time, make those trailers from a very finite piece of the movie, that's always a good thing when you can do both, for sure, Anch. All right, next up. Christian writes, I know I can't trust what I see on Facebook, then why even ask whatever it is you're about to ask? But I keep seeing Cillian Murphy about being a variant of Doom and Secret Wars thought. No, who cares? Don't believe any of these Facebook posts that go up. They're 99% bullshit. Sure, once in a while it's a real thing, but it's not even worth talking about. So it's just not worth giving any validity to. So let's not even talk about it. All right. Christian writes, thoughts on Karl Urban for Wolverine. Listen, I love Karl Urban. I love him deeply, not just as an actor, but personally, the dude is just very, very cool. You guys know that I've had several opportunities to hang out and chat with Karl. As a matter of fact, I'm just trying to see if I can pull up this picture. I know this is a picture I've seen before, but Karl has even been when I used to do my annual Masters of the Web panel at Comic-Con. Karl one year was kind enough to be my guest on that panel, and then they were very kind enough to invite me to be the moderator and the MC for the debut screening of his movie Dread. That was an incredible honor, and that was a great time. And I mean, just Carl is a great guy to hang around with, and Carl is a fabulous talent, and I love him. I say all that because of what I have to say next. Carl is too old to play Wolverine now. Carl is 54 years old, which is still plenty young for his career. Still plenty young for his career. But you can't start a brand new Wolverine that you hope can be your Wolverine for the next 15 years if everything goes well. You can't start with an actor who's 54 years old. Now, if you were doing a one-shot only X-Men movie and you weren't bringing it into the MCU, whatever, could Karl Urban be that Wolverine? Yes. Yeah, you could. Karl Urban could be that Wolverine in a one-shot movie. Sure. But you're not doing a one-shot movie. You're trying to bring in a new Wolverine who hopefully, if everything goes well, will be your Wolverine for the next 10 to 15 years. And Karl Urban, as great as he is, still young in his career, still has a lot of great things ahead of him that he's going to do for us, but he's simply too old to play Wolverine now. Really, the conversation can't go any further than that. All right, next up, Jarita writes and sends in I don't know if that's a $20 super chat or not, but YouTube thinks it is. Writes in, I did my yearly Galaxy Quest rewatch. I love that movie because it's a perfect movie. I don't know if I'd say it's perfect, but it's great. It is also a yearly reminder Alan Rickman is no longer with us, despite all iconic roles. Hit GQ role, maybe his best for me. He is the epitome of Gone Too Soon. He is absolutely the epitome of Gone Too Soon. I still have to remind myself once in a while that we don't have Alan Rickman with us anymore. And listen, as great as he is in Harry Potter, and as great as he is in Galaxy Quest, by Grabthar's hammer, you shall be avenged. He's so good in Galaxy Quest. I gotta say, when I think of the late, great Alan Rickman, the first thing that comes to my mind is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. His Sheriff of Nottingham was so good. And yes, of course, one of the greatest screen villains of all time is Hans Gruber in Die Hard. Absolutely. Yippee-ki-yay. He is one of the great screen villains of all time. But my goodness, his Sheriff of Nottingham, I think is my favorite role of his. I know I'm getting the times wrong, but you, my room, 8. You, my room, 8:15. And bring a friend. Just, why a spoon, cousin? 'Cause it'll hurt more. I'll cut your heart out with a spoon. Why a spoon, cousin? I love him. He's so good as the sheriff in that movie, guys. If you've never seen that movie, you got to go watch that movie because he's just so great in it. But yeah, Galaxy Quest is awesome. Jarita. All right, Dakota writes. Also a $20 super chat. Thank you, Dakota. Appreciate that, man. And Dakota writes, do you feel that DCU is in trouble if they keep giving us obscure stuff? Loved Lanterns, but feel MCU proved most general audiences don't watch the shows to follow along. So Supergirl will be the last taste. Thoughts? Love y'all. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying here. But I'll just stick with the first part. Do you feel the DCU is in trouble if they keep giving us obscure stuff? Yes. Yeah. I've been saying that. Listen, I am all for, and I love the fact that James Gunn gave us like Polka Dot Man, and that James Gunn did. And listen, I was against Peacemaker when they first announced it. I thought it was a stupid idea to do Peacemaker. And now it's like one of my all-time favorite superhero shows is Peacemaker. I freaking love it, despite the fact that I said forever that this is stupid. This is a bad idea. They shouldn't be doing it. And then I loved it. But there is a limit to that. There's a limit to that. Like, you want to throw in a Peacemaker? Great. You want to do a Supergirl, a B-level derivative character? Great. I'm not taking anything away from the Supergirl character. I'm just saying she is what she is. She is a B-level derivative character of Superman. You want to do that? Fine. But we are running out of time and excuses. Like, right now, we're going to get a Jimmy Olsen show before we get Batman. Again, I'm not saying you have to come out of the gate with Batman. I'm saying it's okay that we've gone the first couple of years without Batman. That's fine. But guys, right now, we're going to get a Jimmy Olsen series. We're going to have Jimmy Olsen 3 times before we get Batman. Wrap your heads around that. We're going to get Jimmy Olsen in 3 different things before we get Batman once. We got Jimmy Olsen, Superman. By the way, he was great. I really like Jimmy Olsen and Superman. That was great. And now we're going to get him in Man of Tomorrow, and we're going to get a Jimmy Olsen and Gorilla Grodd show 3 times. Thrice Jimmy Olsen before we ever get Batman. There's a line. Again, you don't have to come out of the gate with Batman. You don't have to come out of the gate with Wonder Woman. But at some point, you have to stop and look in the mirror and say, do we really want a world where we get Jimmy Olsen 3 times and Jimmy Olsen his own show before we ever get Batman? Like, we're going to have Creature Commandos, a season of Peacemaker, Superman's the exception, which is great. Superman was awesome. Supergirl, Clayface, Lanterns, Jimmy Olsen, and whatever else that came out. We're now 7 or 8 projects in before we even get Batman. That has got to be fixed. And I'm fine if Wonder Woman comes first. But you got your Trinity. You have your holy Trinity of the DC universe in Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. And so far, we're going to be 7 or 8 projects in, and only one of them has been introduced. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it is something they need to correct. And I think they've realized it. And I think that's why, like, Booster Gold's been put off, and maybe why, like, how are you doing a spinoff? And listen, I'm all for the Themyscira show. I really am. But it does seem weird that you're doing a spinoff of Wonder Woman before we even get Wonder Woman, right? So I think they're realizing that, and that's why Booster Gold has been shelved for now. Paradise Lost has been shelved for now. And I think they're going to get things course corrected there. But you know, it's funny. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if Supergirl had been good. If Supergirl had been good, I don't even think we're having this conversation. But Supergirl wasn't good. So there you have it. All right. Thanks for that, Dakota. Next up, Thomas P. writes, hey, John. The Pit Season 2, The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Odd Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon Season 3, and now Lanterns, plus Harry Potter. Hope HBO survives this merger. Listen, HBO is the gold standard. They continue to be the gold standard. Other streamers can do great things. Shogun is one of the greatest things to ever be on television. Shrinking on Apple. Apple's had several really great things, but Shrinking to me is their crown jewel. To me, Netflix has had several really, really great shows. But to me, HBO has been the gold standard for like 20 years, and it still is the absolute gold standard. Not that everything they've done has been a home run, not at all, but HBO is the gold standard. And that's why I didn't have a lot of doubt that Lanterns would at least be good, because it's HBO. And despite whatever naysayers you see it there, the Harry Potter series is going to rule. Believe that. Because not only got this source material, but they've also went out and got some of the best showrunners in the world to run it. It's going to be great. Yeah. And Pitt, I still can't believe how good. Oh, good. Another medical procedural show. Kel Supri. Holy crap. If you're not on the Pit yet, you'll get obsessed with it. You'll get absolutely obsessed with it. So yeah, go and make sure you check that out. All right. Christian writes, Many years ago, IMDb page listed a possible X-Force movie, and Stephen Lang from Avatar was cast as Cable. He looks perfect. He did. I mean, Slang liked me referring to him, or Stephen Lang corrected me when he came in and hung out with us a couple of times in our studio. And whenever I would refer to him as, Mr. Lang or Steven, he said, call him a Slang. So I started referring to him as a Slang. He's great, but he's like too old to play Cable. I mean, let me just pull this up. Hey, Google, how old is actor Stephen Lang? Sorry for all of those of you out there who I just activated your phones, but, let's see. It's not, it caught all the other stuff I'm saying. Any guys in the live chat? How old? Oh, Stephen Lang is now, oh my God, Stephen's 74. Stephen is 74 years old now. He looks great for 74. Holy crap. Holy crap, he looks great for 74. Anyway, cast as Cable, he looks perfect. What are your thoughts if Stephen Lang was cast in the X-Men? No, Cable doesn't look 74. 30 years ago, 35 years ago, a bulked up Clint Eastwood would have been a pretty badass Cable too. Yeah, I think Stephen Lang 15 years ago, 20 years ago. By the way, guys, I've said this before, but I will say it again. The way IMDb works, never rely on anything on IMDb as being necessarily accurate for things that have not yet come out. For things that have come out, rock solid. Take it as gospel. But for upcoming projects, it's IMDb is generally accurate, but the way people can submit things to be on it, you have to take it with a grain of salt. So I don't think that was ever a real thing. I don't think that was ever, just to be clear, I don't think that was ever a real thing. But yeah, man, back in the day, Stephen Lang would have been a great Cable. Today at 74, I don't think he can be. I think that's a little, again, he's still got a bunch of years in his career left and he's fantastic, but I don't think he could be a Cable at this point. All right. Next up, Pablo writes, hey, John, been listening to your show for 2 years. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. This is my first super chat. Thank you for sending in your first super chat. Favorite Lantern scene, Hal before the judge. What was yours? I mean, that was a great scene too. That was a really good scene. But again, easily it was the interrogation scene. The interrogation scene was, if all I saw from last night's episode was the interrogation scene and I might have slept with his wife. That was also really good. But the interrogation scene, easily for me, Pablo, that was my favorite scene of the, but it was a lot of great scenes in it though. I cannot wait for next week. All right. Let's see. Bear Den writes, if you could live in any cinematic universe, which would you choose and why, and which one would you avoid? Star Wars. Yeah. Maybe a Coruscant. It depends. Like Star Wars is a lot of different environments, but I think I would love to live in that. That would obviously be awesome. Which one would I avoid? Anything Middle Ages like. So, House of the Dragon, which is fantasy, but it's Middle Ages like. Anything like that, would never want to live in that time period, or anything that looked or resembled that time period. That would really suck. So, yeah, Star Wars, the pros, anything resembling timeline of something like House of the Dragon. Wouldn't want to live in that era, Bear Den. All right. Your rights. I liked End of Oak Street, but found the VFX a little rough. Just me. Anne Hathaway was a standout. You know what? I'm going to disagree personally. I was considering it's not the biggest budget film. Myself, I was very pleased with the visual effects. I was very pleasantly surprised with the visual effects in End of Oak Street. Again, I'm not going to say it was like the best visual effects I've ever seen in any movie ever, but considering that it's a not blockbuster scale movie, I was ready for some rough visual effects. I actually thought they looked quite good. And I won't give anything away, but oh my goodness, that snake, the white snake, was crazy good. By the way, shout out to X-Men Superfan, who just gifted 50 John Campea channel memberships. Dear heavens. Thank you so much for that, X-Men Superfan. Really appreciate that, as always. Just wanted to call that out and shout that out. So yeah, I actually thought the VFX in that movie were surprisingly good, but that's just me. Anyway, next up, Tomas writes, unless Holland is in Doomsday, Zendaya will be the biggest box office earner in 2026 with Dune, Odyssey, and Spider-Man. Over under 40% that her movies will earn $5.5 billion. Here's the thing, though. I'm always very hesitant to have these conversations because, like, Odyssey is not her movie. Like, she's like the 7th or 8th person with the most screen time in that movie. There are like 7 or 8 other actors in that movie that have much more screen time. She's a small part of that movie. In the Odyssey. Dune, a key character, but I mean, it's Paul Atreides' movie. Spider-Man, again, not her movie. It's Spider-Man's movie, but she is a supporting character. A bigger role, though. A bigger role, unlike, say, but like, it's always like Odyssey did not make the money it made because of Zendaya. And again, I'm a big fan of Zendaya as an actress. I think she's phenomenally talented, but it's the same conversation like when the conversations come up, oh, now Scarlett Johansson is the highest earning actress of all time. Oh, now Samuel L. Jackson. But you're counting a ton of movies where those performers had very little to do with the movie. So, yeah. I'll tell you whose year this is. It's Anne Hathaway's year. This year's Anne Hathaway's movie. Anne Hathaway's year. Like, she's already had, like, I'm just talking about delivering quality stuff. I feel like with End of Oak Street, she's already been in like, I want to say 4 movies this year, and she still has Verity coming. And listen, I'm not the demographic for Verity, but come on, guys, that looks really good. So maybe not the box office, although, you know, freaking Devil Wears Prada 2 did pretty damn good at the box office. And Odyssey has obviously done very well for her. And I think End of Oak Street may not do great at the box office, but I thought it was a surprisingly entertaining little film. And now we got Verity coming, and I think there was one other one as well. I honestly think, box office aside, I think this is Anne Hathaway's year. I really do. I feel like this is more of her year. Then again, you know, you got John Bernthal, Tom Holland, and Zendaya both in Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. So that's pretty good too. That's not bad. All right. Next up. What do we got up next here? We got Thomas P, who writes, knowing what you know, A, think Cap becomes Doom's right-hand man like Doctor Strange in the comics? Absolutely not. And B, does Tony Stark return in Secret Wars? I don't know anything about Secret Wars. I know nothing about the movie Secret Wars. I highly doubt that we're going to get Tony Stark in Secret Wars. But I say that as a fan guessing, not having any information about it. The only stuff I know about Secret Wars, to be frank, is the comics. That's it. I have no idea what they're planning for the movie. We will have to see. But no to your Steve Rogers theory. All right. Benji Gator writes, if the Odyssey was filmed exactly as is, with the same cast and script, but directed by someone other than Nolan, how much would it have grossed? Well, I mean, here's the thing. It wouldn't have been the same movie. Like, we've talked about this a lot. You can take 2 casts with that totally identical casts with the exact same script, but put them in the hands of 2 different directors. You are going to get 2 very different movies. I mean, yes, you'll recognize that they're basically the same thing, but they are going to deliver 2 very different experiential events. Every movie is made through the lens of the director. And that will change a lot. So, number one, I doubt it would have been the same movie. Yeah, it would have been the Odyssey. Yes, all of that, but it just wouldn't have been as good of a movie had it been somebody other than Christopher Nolan directing it, unless it was like a Steven Spielberg or a Denis Villeneuve, but you know what I'm saying. If the question you're asking is how big of an impact did just the Christopher Nolan name have on the box office, I think not insignificant. I think Christopher Nolan right now is the only director in the world whose name brings in a certain amount of box office. Yeah, so if the question is, how much do I think just Christopher Nolan's name did? I think a not insignificant amount had to do with it. Not insignificant amount. All right. Cassidy Kelly writes, I'm so excited they casted Storm. She looks just like Storm too. No, she doesn't. I just hope they don't background Storm because the actress is an unknown. No, look, they don't care. Look, first of all, whenever somebody says somebody looks like a character from the comic books, understand Storm has had like no less than about 30 to 40 different looks in her comic book history. So when we say, oh, she looks like Storm, well, which version of Storm? Because literally 30 or 40 different looks she's had. I mean, in the history of all the time she's been there. So Storm will look like whatever she looks like. What I love about the casting, even though I have not seen much of this girl's work, but what I love about the casting is the fact that she's got a stage background. She's got a West End stage background. And look, I'm not trying to paint with too broad of a brush, but stage actors are just a different creature. They're just a different creature. There's just an advantage, I think, of actors who have cut their teeth and been through the crucible of acting live on a stage. I just think it's a different animal, and I always kind of lean into that. I really appreciate that. So the fact that they went out and got somebody who has got an established stage experience, I think that bodes very well. Very well. Now, remember, in saying, I hope they don't make Storm their background because they got an unknown actress. The character is written before they put the actress in it. So Storm is going to have as big or small of a role in the movie, regardless of whatever actress they went out and got. It's irrelevant. But I think you're going to see them give a lot of equal balance to the character. Now, I do think Jean and Cyclops are going to be featured a little bit more. And the reason I'm guessing that is because Mr. Sinister is the villain. And traditionally, although they may break tradition, they may not go with this, I'm just saying, traditionally, Mr. Sinister has been obsessed with creating the ultimate genetic mutant, and he believes that is going to be done with the DNA of Scott Summers, Cyclops, and Jean Grey. And so because Mr. Sinister is the villain, I do think Scott and Jean will kind of be the front facing Anne Charles. But I do believe the other, like I believe Emma Frost, I believe Storm, I believe Rogue are all going to be featured very prominently. So I think there's going to be a lot to go around for all the performers. I don't think we have to worry about that, Cassidy. I don't think that's one thing we have to worry about. All right. Again, I'm just thrilled they got a stage actress to play it. I love hearing that stuff. All right. Next up, Ritz Carlton writes, I have been watching you, John, since your favorite movie, Kraven the Hunter. That couple of days of you shitting on Kraven hooked me on your podcast. Cheers from Poland. Oh, man. It's just that movie made me look, and I do a pretty good job of making myself look like a fool quite often enough. But that movie really made me look foolish because I was like the one lone voice in the wilderness when it came to Kraven the Hunter saying, I believe this movie's going to be good. I believe in this movie. I thought, and I still think the trailers are quite good. I enjoyed the trailers and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I had a lot of different reasons why I thought, despite the fact that they had like two of the worst screenwriters in the history of the medium writing the movie, I still believed it was going to be good. I had faith in Kraven. Then I went to go watch it. God, that movie was so bad. It is truly one of the worst films I've ever seen. I mean, I would say it's like the worst movie I've seen in forever, except then Scream 7 came out. And that is truly one of the worst movies ever made in history. But yeah, Craven, not a good time with that one, Ritz. Not a good time. All right. A. Marcellus writes, when I saw Garrett Dillahunt in Lanterns, I thought, no way this guy is playing a father to a grown-ass man. I looked up his age and I saw he's 61. That's some good aging. If you're talking about the guy who played Jason Ritter's dad, I had a friend of mine text me while we were, because remember I said earlier, I said, my one thing is I just don't know if I buy him as Jason Ritter's dad. Yeah, here it is. My friend sent me this. Garrett Dillahunt is only 15 years older than Jason Ritter. And yeah, like when Jason Ritter's character goes, my dad's inside in the kitchen, and they go in and we see the guy in the kitchen, I'm like, okay, so who's this? This clearly isn't Jason Ritter's dad because this guy's too young. And yeah, this is dad. So, and I said, I could buy him as his older brother, but that dude does not look like Jason Ritter's dad. He does not look old enough to be Jason Ritter's dad. But yeah, apparently he's only 15 years older than Jason Ritter. All right. Next up, Everything Movie writes, God bless Hayden. I absolutely loved her as Kirby in the Scream franchise. Just so incredibly heartbroken hearing about it last night. God bless her soul. Yeah, like I said, we were in the middle of playing Dungeons and Dragons last night. We had our game going on, and like I said, my buddy Matt just kind of looked up for his phone and he said, "Dude, did you hear about this?" I'm like, "What?" And he held up his phone and showed me. And look, whenever any performer passes away, particularly as young as she was, it's always tragic. It hits a little bit more personally, though, when they were in something that is truly special to you. And like Heroes was truly special to me. Like that show has a really special place in my heart. And yeah, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking to hear about that. Everything Movies. Totally agree with you. All right. Unfiltered writes, hey, John, what's your favorite thing about Marvel? I mean, that's a broad question. I don't like, do you mean Marvel comics? Do you mean Marvel shows? Do you mean Marvel movies? Yeah, my apologies, Unfiltered, but I have no idea. You have to be more specific. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is you're asking, and I can't spend 15 minutes going over all different mediums. So my apologies. You have to be a little bit more specific about what it is you're asking. So I know how to appropriately answer you. All right. Everything Movies writes, also so excited that Welcome to Derry season 2 is officially greenlit. Pennywise is back. You know what? I saw that news today. And one of the reasons, other than the fact that we had a lot of other stuff to talk about, one of the reasons we didn't put it on today's show is because forgive me, I kind of had it in my head that it had already been greenlit. I mean, I know they were already planning for it, but I guess it didn't have the official green light yet. So for those of you who missed it, Welcome to Derry season 2 has now officially gotten the green light. But again, in my head, I was like, the first thing I thought was, wait, it wasn't greenlit already? Like I kind of thought it was. I don't know if there are others like me out there who kind of thought that, but yes, I am very excited to come back. Season 1 was great. I really, really enjoyed season 1. All right, next up. And guys, listen, we're already past 2:00. We've already been going a couple of hours. So I'm going to move rather quickly through the next bunch because my throat's starting to get a little sore. All right. Joe Adonis T writes, there was a lot of cheer when Adam Driver faked announced that he was playing Nope. And then crickets when he said Nathaniel, too obscure character for the casual moviegoers. No, here's what I think. I think a lot of people know Mr. Sinister. Not as many as know Magneto, but a lot of people know Mr. Sinister. Not all of them know him as Nathaniel Essex. Even fewer know Nathaniel, and I forget what last name he used. He didn't even say Nathaniel Essex. He said Nathaniel Mulberry? I can't remember now. What was the last name he used? Anyway, so if he had said, because I recognize that too, that when he said the name Milbury is not Mulberry, Milbury is what he said. Thank you to that, to try getting a reservation, said Milbury. So if he had said, playing Magneto, no, not Magneto, Mr. Sinister. If he had said that, I think you would have heard a much bigger pop. If he had even said Nathaniel Essex, not as big of a pop as Mr. Sinister, but still a good pop. The fact that he said Nathaniel Milbury, which even, like Rob said earlier, deep cut, I think that affected more than anything else. So it's not that Mr. Sinister isn't a big enough character. If he had said Mr. Sinister, I think you would have heard a bigger reaction to it. All right, next up, Keaton writes, Aaron and Kyle seem like real friends. Wow, what an episode and what an ending. I could not be happier with last night's episode. I'm actually going to watch it again. Couldn't be happier with it. I just thought they hit all the right notes. Everything I thought a first episode should be laying all the groundwork and doing it in a really compelling, interesting way. Great dynamic between the characters. I even love the town sheriff. By the way, forgive me, the girl playing town sheriff, she's an Irish girl. Was she not in Boardwalk Empire? Was she not one of the main girls in Boardwalk Empire? I feel like she was. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, but I think that's what she was in. I thought she was great in that. All right. Next up, Disgraceful Entertainment writes, my sister grew up watching Bring It On, All or Nothing, R.I.P. Hayden. Oh, was she in that? I never saw Bring It On, All or Nothing. I did see the original Bring It On, but I did not know she was in Bring It On, All or Nothing. But yeah, again, just so sad. So incredibly sad to hear about that. All right. Christopher Brickner writes, Superman, my last film made 345 million.2 domestically and 618.7 worldwide. Spider-Man, cute Superman. I beat both in one weekend. Yeah, but I mean, like, no Superman movie has ever made a ton of money, right? Like, no Superman movie has ever made a ton of money. Like, you can say that about Superman, but then you could do the same thing with Captain America, or do the same thing with Ant-Man, or do the same thing with Iron Man, who this movie's blown away any standalone Iron Man movie, right? So, like, it's fine to try to pick on Superman, which, by the way, that Superman movie made more money than want to talk about digging out of a hole? Superman made more money than the 7 previous DCEU films. Wrap your head around that. That's how big of a hole it started in, and yet it managed to come out and make more than the previous 7. But the reality is no standalone Superman movie has ever made a ton of money. This Superman made money. It definitely got them off and going on the right track. Supergirl may have derailed it a bit, but yeah, that Superman was incredibly thing. So yeah, you can compare Spider-Man to Superman, but you compare it to any standalone comp. You can compare it to Black Panther, and it's completely outdone it. So just be a little careful about what you're picking and choosing. Anyway, D Wild writes, no spoilers, but the end of Oat Streak is rather dark when you think about what Denise Hathaway's character did to her family when calling. I've thought about that. Now, again, I can't really talk about it because it'll go into spoilers, but I did think that was rather a surprise ending. I like the ending. But yeah, when you really think about the repercussions of what happens, it's also kind of dark. But anyway, can't talk about it here because that would give too much away. All right, Lone Wolf writes, what do you think of the Ahsoka trailer? I enjoyed it. Also, thank you for doing the show. I enjoy it so much. Hope you have a great day. Well, thank you for that, Lone Wolf. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, again, listen, I always have to be honest, despite the fact that I am not a fan of Ahsoka, and I did not like the first season. And I think Dave Filoni, quite frankly, honestly, has to get over his complete single-visioned obsession with this character. If Star Wars is going to have any hope of going anywhere in the future, I have to still call it like I see it. That Ahsoka Season 2 trailer was great. It's great. It's a great trailer. I don't have a lot of faith that Season 2 is actually going to be any good. We'll see. I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I just don't think it'll be any good, but we'll see. But give credit where it's due, man. That trailer was top notch. That wasn't a good trailer. That was a great trailer. Let's see if the season actually lives up to it. All right. Manny G writes, it's looking like they might make Magneto in his 40s like Professor X. Yep, 100%. They're going to make them age relevant. If so, how vital is his origin story going to be? That would make him a teen in the late 80s and 90s. Does he show up at all in this movie? I absolutely believe he shows up in the movie. I don't know that. I'm just guessing like a fan, like anybody else, so I could be wrong. But I'm guessing you can't introduce X-Men without introducing Magneto. You don't have to have Magneto as the main antagonist of this film. He can be the main antagonist of the next one, but you have to at least introduce him. But yeah, the origin story is going to have to be him witnessing atrocities that happen in a relevant age period, right? It can't be the Holocaust. It's got to be something in that era. So again, whether it's something like a Bosnia, whether it's something like Rwanda, whether it's something like, I don't know, some other kind of maybe it's a made up one. I don't know, but they're going to have to do something with that. All right. Thank you, Manny. Good question. Gage writes, Part 1. Hey, John, first ever super chat. Thank you, man. Saw someone argue on Twitter that the success of Obsession is carried by Indy's performance. My question is, if Indy wasn't cast as Nikki and it was someone else that was cast, would Obsession still be a good movie? Love your show. Okay, fair questions. Here's what I would say. I think, first of all, I think the guy who plays Bear is tragically overlooked. Look, Obsession works because of those two performances. It's a very good story. On paper, it's a good story. But even on paper, it's a story that has to be brought to life. And the only way this movie gets brought to life is with those two performances, under the direction of the director, bringing those performances out. So number one, I think the guy who plays Bear, tragically overlooked. Tragically overlooked. He's excellent in that movie. But I still think you could have found another actress that would have done a good job in the movie. And as long as you got somebody who did a good job, I still think the movie is very good because it's a well thought out story. That being said, Indy's performance as Nikki definitely elevated it. It definitely elevated it. So yeah, you could have gotten another actor. If you got an actress in who did a terrible job, it would have hurt the movie a lot. I think there are other actresses you could have gotten that would have done a good job playing Nikki, and the movie is loved. But what Indy did was she performed the hell out of that character and delivered something that we don't see very often, and that definitely elevated the whole movie. All right. Already had part 2 of Gage. Now we get to Arturo, who writes, which app would you recommend buying Dune 3 ticks? IMAX app or Fandango? I'm not trying to get caught lacking on these tickets. I don't know, honestly. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, I always get my movie tickets from the AMC website just because I live near an AMC. When I have to get something else, I usually use Fandango. But honestly, to be straight up with you, I don't think you're running the risk of anything. If first of all, I didn't even know you could buy tickets in the IMAX app. But if you're in the official IMAX app and you can buy tickets through it, then just get it there. If you want to get it through Fandango, get it there. I really don't think you're in any danger from buying your ticket from either of them. I think you're safe, Arturo. That's my ultimate. I think you're safe either way. All right. And finally, our last one today is just Renaissade, who just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you so much for that, Renaissade. I appreciate that very much. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for for your support. Also, big thank you to the over 3,000 of you guys still with us in the live chat. Thank you for being here, guys. It's been a lot of fun watching your chat in the live chat, giving me some information that I need your guys' help on. Thank you so much and being a part of this show. All right, guys. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow for the next episode of the John Campea Show. We'll look forward to seeing you then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.